Okay, so another court case is coming up in America. This video is to help stop the continual betrayal of American values by the government and judicial system. This is a statement against the social entropy of America from its Christian, Judeo-Christian heritage. Of course, the sons of God preceded the Jews, as did Abraham precede Israel. And we remind ourselves that Israel has an obligation to rightly teach God's ways to the Gentiles. So this is an affirmation of basic foundational values, and one can be assured that these values ought to be endorsed by the true popes and the Queen. And I say this as a Protestant. The Declaration of Independence states the importance of not being thrown around by light and transient causes. And there is no more foundational basis of government than the family. So that's in the Declaration of Independence. And we always got to bear in mind, just because the government allows something doesn't make it right or mean that it should. Inalienable rights implies inalienable morality. That is, some things are just simply wrong. The US Constitution was written when homosexuality was illegal. Preserving marriage is therefore not unconstitutional. There can be no legal basis for promoting homosexuality or gay marriage, homosexual marriage. So aspirational societies are based on aspirational values. And the goal, one man, one woman, once. I've put ex-wife or man and ex-woman just to remind people that they're not opposites, but share a common basis. So, one man, one woman, once. And it's only sensible when a man and a woman come together to raise children that they do so on a basis of agreement to provide a stable upbringing for children. And that's the basis of marriage. Every child ever born has a natural father and a natural mother. I put structural in brackets to remind people that as a Christian, I believe in the case of Jesus Christ, the Father in heaven was his father. So, all things aside, what is nature's choice, or the Creator's choice? X, Y, XX, yep, they have children. X, X, XX, no children, and X, Y, XY, no children. So, all things aside, every child is was produced by heterosexual parents. Meanwhile, as we consider this issue, think of all the marriages not recognised. So, more natural polygamy, incest, group. People could consider marriage in the long time to just be a bunch of people coming together for a time and leaving. Marriage is not a bus, one could say in modern terminology. So I've got here, don't make stolen generation families, or partially stolen generation families. That's probably more familiar with Australian viewers who remember Aboriginal children being stolen from their parents. And this was considered a wrong practice, and there's been an apology for that. I've also got bastards there to remind ourselves of the recognition of agreed marriage. And I've got freaks of science there because I don't know where science is, where it's going, or what they're going to endeavour to do to try and promote an unnatural propagation of the species. Now, it is not against the law to recognise something as superior or more complete. So, the object of the law is not to force an equality on things not equal. Ingredients aren't the same as products, and some things simply miss ingredients. Homosexuals don't need to register. Instead of adopting, they can sponsor proper heterosexual families. That is, if they truly had the child's interest at heart. I'm not endorsing homosexuality by stating this. I'm merely saying that there is no basis for for homosexuals raising children. That is an entirely unnatural arrangement driven by an ideology. So this is a slightly scriptural statement. Don't yoke your neighbour with sin. Of course, the Constitution states all men were created. So religion isn't alien to American culture. In fact, its Protestant backgrounds are well historically established. I've got a few quotes there on the Creator's government for believers, and Paul uses the term without natural affection. That is, he's endorsing a structural arrangement, but also an affection that should exist between a man and a woman, and this teaching is consistent with Old Testament teaching and the character of the Jewish race. And the best prevention is to make sure software matches hardware. I did have a picture of the Bible previously there. It should be noted that in custody disputes, the law still recognises the original parents. So that's recognising an inferiority of unnatural propagation of the species. Now, some people might ask, is homosexual union and children harmful? Is it harmful to raise children to have a false sense of valuing heterosexual marriage equal with gay marriage? And that is not the truth. Children growing up with homosexuality around them, toilets, gym room, etc., etc. And one can imagine an overzealous social worker in the future considering it wrong to raise children with a right view of family. Now, people make all sorts of arguments on the basis of what is natural. And the problem with this argument is that we've got to bear in mind that man was made in the image and likeness of God and above creation. And now creation is much a reflection of man's error as what is right. So in nature there is rape, incest, and all sorts of acts of violence that would not be considered civil. One has to think on why these things might be. And the Bible isn't artificially homophobic in the sense that it does recognise a strong bond between people of the same sex. So perhaps people have to look at the scale and appropriateness of what nature is saying. That is the goal just to be this animal, rather than in the image of God? So thank you for your time.